If a narcissistic man hates women so much, why does he keep dating them? Why does he chase you, charm you, seduce you, and then destroy you? Why does he sweet talk women, make you feel like a goddess, only to later degrade you, betray you, and mock your emotions? Well, narcissistic men do not date women because they love them. They date them because they need them, not just as an emotional regulator and as spiritual scapegoat, but also as tools, mirrors, and punching bags for their own internal war. Hi, I am Danish, a narcissistic abuse recovery professional, and in this episode, we are going to go deep into the twisted, unsettling psychology of narcissistic men who fundamentally despise women but still date them. Because once you understand the real reason why, you won't take their cruelty personally anymore. You will see through their games and you will finally get why nothing you ever did was wrong. But before we get started, a quick announcement. I'm hosting a free workshop in 3 chapters starting June 5th, which also happens to be my birthday. You can book your spot right now using the link in the description or the I button above. 1,400 spots were taken in just one day, so grab yours before we hit full capacity. Let's start with discussing the root of their hatred, the famous mother wound and early humiliation. Most narcissistic men who hate women are not born that way. They are conditioned slowly. Raised in homes where their earliest experience of love came with strings attached, especially from the woman in their lives. Maybe their mother was emotionally unavailable or overly critical or placed them on a golden pedestal one day and humiliated them the next. These men grew up learning that a woman's love was conditional, dangerous, and unpredictable. They learned early on that vulnerability could be used against them, and it often was. Instead of developing healthy boundaries, they developed emotional armor. Defense mechanisms turned into patterns, and those patterns hardened into resentment. Deep down, they hate how much they once needed their mother's affection. They hate how powerless they felt in those moments when their emotional world depended on someone who weaponized their needs. So they repress that wound and project it onto every woman they meet and date. They punish affection because they once begged for it. They reject love because it once made them feel exposed. Essentially, they take their hatred out on you for no crime of yours, except that you remind them of the one woman who broke them. They're not fighting you, they're fighting the ghost of the woman who first made them feel small, which does not mean you can love them the right way and let them grow out of that resentment. Their hatred lives in their heart and it is imprinted in their DNA, and there is nothing, unfortunately, you can do about it. Now, let's talk about how they like to control, and you know, where there is control, there can't be any connection. It's impossible. Narcissistic men do not date to bond, they date to conquer. They enter relationships like a predator enters a trap with charm, calculation, and a script. They study you, mirror you, and do all those things. They offer grand promises of forever, but it's never about love. It's about securing someone they can control, dominate, and later discard without consequences. You're not a partner to them. You're a role, a function, a supply, an idea, and a fantasy. The more loving, empathetic, or accomplished you are, the more they want to crush you. Why? Because in their twisted mind, breaking you gives them power. And power is the only currency they respect. In the earlier part, I talked about how they could be reenacting their mother wound, but that is just one possibility. Their misogyny could be a learned behavior, a pattern passed down through generations. You know how it is in narcissistic family cults. They may have different bodies, but they have the same mind. I call it having a beehive mindset. Narcissists do not only mirror the behavior of their supply, but also of a more powerful narcissist in the family, who could be a father, a patriarch, like in my father's case, who treated women exactly how his father treated them. He said the same things and maintained the same relationships because he learned that. Social psychology. Now the crazy part is, most of these narcissistic men won't walk around saying, I hate women. They are not that direct. Instead, their misogyny shows up in subtle, socially acceptable ways. They'll say things like, women are too emotional and sensitive. Oh, all my exes were crazy. You know how it goes. Feminism ruined the society, ruined women. This one is huge. I just prefer women who know how to stay in their lane. What is their lane supposed to be? They praise traditional women who played roles they were created for while demeaning independent ones. They act like protectors but secretly enjoy seeing women in pain. They will pretend to be the hero only to become the villain behind closed doors when nobody is watching. They often get away with it. That's the crazy part. Because their hatred hides behind a smile and behind success, carefully chosen words that make you question yourself instead of them. Another interesting aspect is the Madonna-Whore Complex. They split women into two. I believe this is one of the darkest traits of misogynistic narcissists. They split all women into one of the two categories. Number one, the pure, innocent, virtuous Madonna figure, someone they idealize but can never truly respect sexually. The whore figure, someone they sexualize but never respect emotionally. You can never be both, and no matter what you do, you will eventually fall from the pedestal. In the beginning, you may be adored like a goddess, but the moment you express, let's say, a need, a boundary, or a thought that threatens their illusion, you are tossed into the second category. This psychological split allows them to keep dating women while still maintaining an internal narrative that women are essentially inferior, untrustworthy, or only good for sex and ego boosts. The next thing is their jealousy and competition. They hate what they cannot control, and what they cannot control is what they destroy. Ability to connect, their intuition, independence, their healing journey, their strength to walk away, which is why some of them try to become women in their lives, their wife, their mother, anybody who they can copy, anybody who has light that they cannot steal away. This envy, though, turns into hatred when the narcissist realizes he cannot be that woman. He can only possess her or punish her. So what does he do? He competes. He turns the relationship into a power game. If you succeed, he will sabotage you. If you glow, he will dim your light. If you are admired by others, he will make backhanded comments to bring you down. You're not his partner. You are his opponent. His ego cannot survive your autonomy, so he will do everything in his power to shrink you down to size. Which brings us to sadistic supply. They get off on the pain they cause. This is hard to say, but it is essentially the truth. A lot of these narcissistic men do not just tolerate your pain, they enjoy it. Your tears make them feel superior. Your confusion gives them power. Your emotional breakdown gives them a sense of control. It's not always conscious, but it's real. They poke and prod at your insecurities, withhold affection intentionally, push your buttons, then play innocent when you react. They use your reaction. And when you finally explode, they use that reaction as a proof that you're the problem. All of this is emotional sadism, a slow, calculated form of psychological warfare. And it is all rooted in the same core belief. I must win. I must be the one in control. The narcissist does not want to love a woman. He wants to own her. That's why your kindness was never enough. That's why your loyalty did not earn you peace. That's why every time you tried to reason with him, he twisted your words into weapons. To him, love is nothing but obedience, agreement, and submission. The moment you disagreed, you became his enemy. This is why they often date women who are younger, financially dependent, or emotionally vulnerable. Why? Because it's not that they want to protect them, because they are easier to control. And the moment these women gain strength, what happens? The narcissist either escalates the abuse or discards them like trash if he can. The truth that no one tells you is that their hatred comes from self-loathing. They're miserable. Underneath all the arrogance and charm lies something most people miss: self-hate. These men do not just hate women, they hate themselves for needing women, for being so dependent. They hate their own emotional weaknesses, their childhood vulnerability, the parts of them that once cried, begged, or longed for affection. Every time they see a strong woman, they are reminded of their own powerlessness. So what do? Naturally, they lash out. They punish you for being what they are not and cannot become, for having what they lack, for healing the wounds they never faced. And the more healed you are, the more dangerous you become to them, because your very existence threatens their entire identity. All of this begs the question, why do they keep coming back after leaving you then? Even after degrading you, cheating on you, ghosting you, these men come back. Why? Because deep down they know no one else will put up with them the way you did. No one else will love them through the pain, offer empathy, or forgive the unforgivable. They come back not because they have changed or want to change, but because they still believe they can win. And if you take them back, the cycle continues, only gets worse. Because now they know where your limits are, and now their hatred has a deeper justification. She let me do it again. She must be weak. They don't return for love. They return for dominance. Now, if you have been through something like this, you have to heal, because healing means seeking the truth, not trying to fix them. Being in a relationship with this type of a man makes you spend months, years wondering what you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. You tried harder. You softened yourself, became smaller, quieter, more agreeable. But none of it worked because he didn't want you. He wanted control. Healing begins when you stop trying to fix someone who was never broken in the way you thought. When you realize that his hatred of women was never your burden to carry. You did not make him hate women. He came that way. And the longer you stay, the more you start hating yourself, which is why if you're trying to heal, join my free workshop happening on June 5th. Link is in the description. In this workshop, I'll help you understand how you can thrive and never need a man like this ever in your life. With that, let's bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much for listening. I will talk to you in the next one. Until then, as always, let the healing begin and continue.